Zombie apocalypse.
Alright, what is going on, you guys? Bastion Wajo here, and I'm back with a cubic deck profile. This is a deck that I've been wanting to pretty much build since the movie Dark Side of Dimensions came out. It just seemed like such a cool deck. Ever since I came back into the game, I did realize that Cubic got a bit more support through Cubic Karma, not Cubic Karma, Cubic Dharma. So I want to go ahead and quickly show you guys how this deck has, I guess, updated itself. It's such a fun deck. It's mainly just an OTK go second deck. I wouldn't recommend taking this to any type of highly competitive event, but I consider this a very a solid tier 3 deck. Now this deck has just been a lot of fun to play, so I don't want to go ahead and waste too much of you guys' time. So go ahead and get right into it. Of course, you're going to start off with your boss monster. It's triple Crimson Nova, the Dark Cubic Lord. This card is absolutely ridiculous if you have not read what it does. Basically, it's unaffected by all monsters that have 3,000 or less attack points, which pretty much means it's unaffected by your opponent's monster effects. And it's absolutely ridiculous. All you had to do is summon this out. It just have 3 cubic cards with different names in your hand, and you can go ahead and just bring him out basically for free, which in this deck is really easy to do, as this deck has gotten so much more consistent than it was before Cubic Dharma. So you're going to play your triple of your Dark Cubic Lord, then of course triple Duza, the Meteor Cubic Vessel. This is going to be your main search or your main starter card. Basically, when it's summoned, you get to go ahead and send a cubic card from your deck to the graveyard. You're mainly going to be sending either Cubic Karma or Cubic Unification, depending on which one, because of the future combos that I'm going to go ahead and showcase real quick through some test hands at the end of this video. After that, you do play triple of Vijam, the Cubic Seed. Not really your main starter, but it has some really cool combos with some cards we have in this deck. And overall, it's really just a good card to go ahead and continue having that cubic name in your hand. Also, we do play the Draw Power, of course. We do play the Allure of Darkness in the deck, so it gives us 3 extra dark targets to go ahead and hit. Next, we'll play double of the Gira Guil. The Wind, basically the Wind Cubic King, which basically you just need to go ahead and send 1 cubic that you control to the grave to go ahead and special summon it. Then you burn your opponent for 800, and it gains 800 attack. It's not really one of your beatdown monsters, but it's a good monster to go ahead and continue link climbing with Cubic Unification. Then you play your 1 Buster Gundle Cubic Behemoth. This is really all the cubic cards you really need. I have considered playing the Vulcan, which is the white one, for those of you that don't know, the white cubic monster, but it's not really necessary. It doesn't really make or break the consistency of this deck. So this is really all the cubic monsters you really need. Then of course your support monster is triple Summoner Monk. This really helps you go ahead and get your spells into the grave, so you can go ahead and continue milling through your deck as you special summon your cubic vessel, right? So Summoner Monk is strictly so you can go ahead and summon your cubic vessel from your deck. That way you can go ahead and turbo it out. And that's pretty much it for the monsters, guys. Not getting too complicated with those. To the spells, you play triple Cubic Karma. Its main effect, you're not really going to be using it too much, but it is really good. Basically, as a continuous spell, and when it's activated, you can target a cubic monster you control, and then you can send any number of Vijam, the Cubic Seed, from your deck or hand to the graveyard, and have your monster gain 800 attack per. So it's really good, but the main part you're going to have this for is because when this card's in the graveyard, you can actually banish it, and then you can search you can add any cubic monster from your deck to your hand, which makes it really broken, and it's not once per turn. That's the thing about a lot of these cubic cards, that only one of them is a hard once per turn, and that's Cubic Dharma. But next, of course, triple Cubic Wave. Amazing card, normal spell card. You can target a cubic monster you control. Anyone face that monster your opponent controls, the attack of the monster you control becomes double, and then you half of the other monster, which means you're going to be doing pretty much double the battle damage, but the main effect is for, of course, the one in the graveyard. When this card is in the graveyard, you can banish it along with a set number of cubic monsters from your grave, and then you can go ahead and target the same amount of monsters your opponent controls up to the number of cubic monsters you banish with this from the graveyard and negate all of their effects. Absolutely broken. And then the new support for the deck, triple cubic Dharma, amazing to go ahead and keep milling through your deck, send your dead cubic cards from your hand into the graveyard, as is where they really should be, as fast as possible. Then you can banish this card from your graveyard and target a cubic monster in your grave and add it to your hand, which if you happen to be missing a cubic in your hand to summon your Nova, this will help you go ahead and get to it. Next, triple desires for the draw power. Triple Foolish Burial of Goods, because you want to go ahead and get your spells and traps into the grave as fast as possible. Triple Monster Gate for the combos is absolutely insane. This just helps you go ahead and... The main reason you want to play Triple Monster Gate is because it helps you get a lot more of your spells and traps in the grave. It doesn't really matter what you send off of Monster Gate. It can benefit you more if you do it a certain way, but as long as you're able to get Cubic Karma, Wave, Dharma, Unification, all of those in the grave, you're going to be going super plus. So triple Monster Gate, double Allure of Darkness, and the one Reasoning. Reasoning pretty much for the exact same reason as you play Monster Gate. It just gets more of your spells and traps into the grave. And it's pretty much going to be it for the spell lineup, guys. Next, we're going to be going into the traps. Traps, it's just 4 of them you play, triple Unification and 1 Cubic Ascension. Cubic Ascension is going to be for that one scenario that you may get into a grind game, maybe your opponent's able to get to a high life point advantage, but basically, the main effect of this card is when an opponent declares an attack, you can special summon a V-Jump from your deck and change the attack to it, but its main effect that you're going to be using it for is if it's in the graveyard and your opponent's life points are 2,000 higher, you actually banish this card and special summon up to 3 cubic V-Jump the Cubic Seeds from your hand, deck, or graveyard, which is absolutely nuts. You get to go ahead and just spam your field with a whole bunch of cubics if for some reason you're interrupted in your combos. Now, Unification, I think, is very, very undervalued. This card is absolutely nuts for the deck, and it helps you link climb. Of course, the main effect is it is the fusion card for the cubic monsters, but its secondary effect is what makes this card absolutely broken. So the second effect is basically if a cubic monster is destroyed by battle or leaves the field, you can banish this card from the graveyard, special summon 1 level 4 or lower cubic monster from your hand or deck, ignoring its summoning conditions, which means if you link off with your Duza, or if you use Monster Gate with your Duza, you can go ahead and resolve Unification right after, because technically a cubic monster was sent from your field to the grave, which makes Unification that much more of a strong card. It's absolutely broken. That's pretty much it for the deck profile, guys, as far as the main deck goes. And now we're going to go into the extra deck, which you're not really going to be using too much. The main reason you're going to go into the extra deck is if you go first, or if you just want to go ahead and secure it, the victory for yourself. So first things first, we're going to go ahead and play 1 Relinquished Anima. This just helps you go ahead and take care of your opponent's problematic monsters, and also adds a little bit more attack power. You can also use the Vijam, the seed, to go ahead and make this, make it very, very easy. Your Link Karibo, again, is just more of a defensive card just in case you do go first. Then you play your Nightmare Phoenix and Nightmare Cerberus. That way you're able to go ahead and get rid of your opponent's monsters. Also, it helps you discard, which allows you to keep more of your spells and traps from your hand that you don't need, and just throw them into the graveyard. We're going to be a lot stronger. You play 1 Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess, 1 Mech Knight Crusadia Avermax, and 1 Topologic Zeroboros. The one link that I am missing is IP Masquerena, and that's the main card that you're going to want to go into if you're going first. Basically, the combo is you go ahead and make IP with 2 other cubics on your a cubic or a summoner monk, whatever it might be, on your field. Then, if you have Unification in the grave, you can actually go ahead and link off into Zeroboros during your opponent's turn with IP, a cubic, and another monster. Then Unification is going to go ahead and kick in because a cubic monster left the field, and then you're going to be able to special summon any of your cubic monsters right here into one of the points that Zero Boros points to, and banish everything on the field. And then you can go ahead and special summon him again, which just makes it that much more of a broken card. So that's definitely going to be your best extra deck lineup. Next is going to be for the Xyz. You want to play 1 Tornado Dragon to get rid of pesky spells and traps, 1 Evil Swarm Exciton Knight, Abyss Dweller, a number 41 Baguska if you brick, or if your opponent stops you with hand traps, 1 Super Dreadnought, Rail Cannon Gustav Max, and number 81, and 1 of the Fusion. Now, the Fusion is not one that you're going to be making too often, but it is really, really good. Basically, you need 3 of your boss monster to go ahead and summon it, but it must be Fusion Summon with those exact cards, and cannot be summoned by other ways, special summoned by other ways. This card cannot be targeted or destroyed by your opponent's card effects, which makes this really, really broken if you are able to make this turn 1. If you're going first, it just pretty much solidifies the win for you, makes it that much of a stronger monster. Super Dreadnought Cannon Max is amazing if you have to go ahead and go off with your Crimson Nova. Baguska is pretty much for defense, Evil Swarms to get, and Tornado Dragons to just deal with your opponent's monsters. So even though this is a very going second deck, the extra deck is mainly promoted to support the deck if you do happen to be put in the predicament where you're going first. Alright guys, so for those of you who do not know how to yet play the cubic deck, I'm going to do some quick test hands for you guys. Now this deck primarily do want to go ahead and go second, so we're just doing a 6-hand, act like we are going second. Of course, it's going to go ahead and vary depending on what your opponent has, but we're going to go over some of the basics. So we're going to draw our first 6 cards, 5 and 6. Alright, cool. So not the best, but we can definitely make this work. Now, what's really cool about cubics is that your opening hand does not matter too much, because there's always opportunities to go ahead and break this. For example, if we get something really good off Monster Gate or off Allure, and the thing is that the deck has enough of these cards that help you extend, that you can pretty much make any hand a good hand, right? So first we're going to go ahead and activate the Allure Darkness, right? Draw 2. And then banish one of the V-Joms, right? So this would be our current hand. All right, so left is left. So of course, go ahead, play the Cubic Seed, and activate Monster Gate. Tribute. Let's see what we get. The good thing about it is that it has to be a monster that can be normal summonable, which is perfect. We got Duza, right? And we got a Cubic Karma in the grave, which is going to be amazing to go ahead and help us with our plays. Now, go ahead and activate Duza effect to send a unification to the grave. Right? Then, this is going to be your current graveyard. So you go ahead, activate Cubic Karma, right? Banish it, so you can go ahead and search your deck for a cubic monster and add it to your hand. We're going to add a Crimson Nova, the Cubic Lord, because we do have 3 or more cubic cards with different names in our hands. We do not. Okay, awesome. Let's see. Okay, we get to make this work. That's fine. So we have a second Monster Gate, which is awesome. It's not once per turn. So we go ahead, activate Monster Gate again with the Duza. And another Duza. Alright, so we got another Duza there, guys. What's really cool is so you can actually go ahead and chain the unification now. So Chainlink 1 will do Chainlink 2 unification. Unification is going to go ahead and allow us to special summon yet another Duza from our deck. And then with that first Duza effect, we'll go ahead and activate the Send Cubic Karma. Then the second Duza is going to go ahead and activate its effect, and with it we will go ahead and send the unification, right? And you see how this is pretty much a looping cycle where you never really have a dead hand, right? In which case we're going to go ahead and activate the Cubic Karma to add, let's see if we can find a Gay Ragul, to our hand. Right now, because we have 3 cubic cards with different names in our hand, we can go ahead and summon Crimson Nova, the Dark Cubic Lord. And from here on, we already have a unification in the grave, which is amazing. It means we get to go ahead and continue with our plays. Let's see what we have in the grave. Okay, we're doing good. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and activate the Gaira rule, right, to go ahead and send one of the Duzas to the grave to special summon it, burn my opponent for 500, not 500, 800. Then we're going to go ahead and activate the unification in the grave to then go off and special summon. Let's see what we have. Okay. Let's see. All right, so then we can go ahead and summon the Buster Gundle. Oh, that's my deck. All right, and with the current situation, we should have enough to go ahead and get around most things our opponent has. So Buster Gundle, the Garagul, you can go ahead and link these two off to go into any of your link plays. So you have the Nightmare Phoenix, you have the Nightmare Cerberus to go ahead and get rid of your opponent's monsters. Actually, if you go ahead and do that, that actually might be better, because it lets us send a unification. So send these two to special summon Nightmare Phoenix. Then you activate Nightmare Phoenix effect to go ahead and send the unification from our hand to the grave. Right, and you activate the Cubic Wave, which lets you go ahead and target a cubic I control and a monster my opponent controls, and it lets us go ahead and double this attack and half your opponent's attack. You can do that up to twice, making Crimson Nova pretty much godlike. It would have 12,000 attack points, and then you can go ahead and banish the Cubic Wave with however many monsters from your grave you want. We have 3, 4, 5, 6. If your opponent happens to have 6 monsters, we can go ahead and negate all their effects. Then you just punch over with Crimson Nova, and that pretty much OTKs from there. All right, I'm gonna do one more test hand for you guys, just so you guys understand a bit more of like how the deck works. But as you can see, what I really like about this deck is that no hand is really a dead hand, and all hands can really be just a complete OTK, because I guess it allows you to the support cards that you're playing, like the Monster Gate, the Reasoning, just allow you to keep sending more cards from your deck to the grave, which can then go ahead and activate their effects. If the grass card was legal, I'd definitely be playing 60 card cubic, just because it'd be that broken. So we're gonna go ahead and draw our 6 cards, again going second, and right off the bat, this is a pretty beefy hand. So what we're going to do is go ahead and activate Reasoning. Most likely they would call like a 4 if no we're playing 4, because it'd be the Dooza, so they don't want us to summon that, of course, right? So we have a Crimson Nova. That's unfortunate. Desires, Foolish, Dharma, Gairagul, Desires, Allure, Desires, Dooza. Okay, so we send all these cards to the graveyard. Really, only one we're truly benefiting from right now is going to be the Cubic Dharma. That's okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and activate Dharma effect, banish it to add the Gairagul to our hand, which just adds another cubic name. Then you go ahead and activate the Allure Darkness to draw 2 and banish the Summoner Monk. Let's see. Next we can go ahead. Oh, we actually already have 3 cubics in our hands. Go ahead and just summon out the Nova. Okay. Then you can go ahead and activate the Foolish Burial Goods to make sure that we do get the unification in the grave, because we're going to be sending the Karma off of Dooza. right? So then you're gonna go ahead and normal summon Duza to send the cubic karma. And right off the bat, we're gonna go ahead and activate the monster gate to tribute. 1, 2. That can't be normal summoned. That one cannot be normal summoned. Must be special summoned. All right, so we summon the seed. Then we can go ahead and activate unification effect because a cubic was sent from the field to the grave to special summon another Duza. Now Duza was going to go ahead and activate to send a karma. And then from here, right, we already have 2 cubics in our hand. We're going to go ahead and activate 1 and 2 karma to add a Crimson Nova. And let's see, we do need something with a different name, so we're going to go ahead and add the cubic seed to our hand. Doesn't really matter too much. We're going to go ahead and pitch it off of Dharma. So we can go ahead and summon another Crimson Nova, the cubic lord. Let's see what else we have in the grave. We have another cubic karma. Let's see. Okay. So what we're going to do from here is going to go ahead and activate Dharma. Activates effect to send Vijam to the grave. Draw a card. Cubic Ascension. Alright, then you're going to go ahead and, well, actually with the cubic seed you can do 1 or 2 things. You can actually go ahead and send it to the grave to special summon your Geira, which doesn't really do too much for you since you don't have unification in the grave. Or you can just go ahead and link this off and go into your relinquished anima, but it really just depends on what your opponent has, right? So then of course you can go ahead and proceed into battle. Now Duza does have another effect, of course, besides of the sending it the cubic card from the deck to the graveyard. It also has a once per turn effect during either player's turn. If a monster is sent to the graveyard their turn while this card is face up on the field, you can make this card gain 200 attack for each monster with a different name in your graveyard until the end of this turn, which makes Duza a pretty heavy beat. So you can actually go ahead and activate that effect. It's going to gain 1, 2, 3, 4, 800 attack, making a 2400 beat stick. So you can go ahead and play that route. Then you have 2 3k beaters that are unaffected by your opponent's monsters effects. Then you also have, of course, your anima, which lets you go ahead and take one of their monsters, and the cubic ascension set just in case. So that's pretty much it for the test hands, guys. Just want you guys to understand how the deck is really played. Again, there's a lot that goes into this deck as far as like it being, I don't want to say luck, but it's normally I would say it would be luck, but this deck has so many ways to just mill cards that it's very similar to like a lightsworn. Lightsworn, well, you can call it luck because you don't know what you're going to mill, but the thing is that with this deck, you have no idea what you're going to mill, but because it has so many cards, it's constantly sending cards to the graveyard, you're always going to have that consistency of no matter what you send, it's all going to be beneficial at some point. Even off that first mill, I milled like 12 cards and only got 1 Dharma, but it was still able to go ahead and help me proceed in my play. So that's pretty much it for the video, guys. Go ahead and let me know if you guys did enjoy, if you got more, if you guys want more live videos like this, if you guys prefer the replays as well, and I'll go ahead and take that into consideration. But if you like, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe down for more, and I will see y'all in the next one.